Is a Bitcoin God candle around the corner as spot ETF talks heat up? We have a video from Michael Sonnenschein looking at how much money could potentially flow into the spot ETF. Also, commercials are starting to roll out on spot ETFs. Is FOMO starting to kick in? Also, a lot of hype around Celestia. The airdrop is, if you're not careful, are you going to get wrecked? We're going to talk about that. Also, Polygon passes the inscriptions stress test. Are they the most reliable layer 2 or layer 1 in the space? We're going to talk about that and much, much more. Let's not waste any time. Let's get it.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, and stale news in crypto and, well, we package that up in a fun and sexy way. Bitcoin volatility, extra high. Big Rob confidence in Bitcoin, extra high.
My neighbor, extra high.
Your neighbor's extra high?
Potentially. Guys.
No weed coming into in the neighborhood?
We haven't had Forrest on in a while, so I hit him up and said, hey, man, I'm having Forrest withdrawals. Can you join us? And he blessed us. Forrest is here. Forrest, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man.
It's been a
long
while.
time no see, bro. We miss you. Congrats on the baby. Hope he's doing well. It's never too early to teach him how to put in limit orders. I'll tell you that. We're excited to have you on, man. A lot to talk about today, so let's just jump right in. So, is a God candle coming? I've talked about a God candle in reference to a spot ETF. Well, if January 10th is your deadline, we're like 3 weeks out. So, anticipation for a spot ETF approvals in the United States. And why is it doing that? What? Why is it going so slow? Okay. Spot ETF approvals are expected to be granted in mass. Giants like BlackRock, Fidelity, and other trillion-dollar behemoths will strive to secure the largest slice of this pie. This is a quote from Bloomberg analyst Eric Balkunis. The first shots in the Bitcoin ETF marketing war have been fired, and we have that video. A good ad, short, sweet, avoids using a ticker, which you can't do. We still know it's an ETF, and who wouldn't like this guy? We'll show that in a second, like I mentioned. The consensus among the experts is that the spot ETF approvals will come in mass by January 10th. However, since these dates are deadlines, we might see decisions being announced even before December ends. We saw the delays come weeks earlier back in September. Could we see approvals come 1, 2, 3 weeks earlier before the January deadline? It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. We have this video, as I mentioned. This is the newest. Let's just watch it. It's a commercial. It's an ad for Bitwise and their ETF. You know who that is, Robin?
The Dos Equis guy?
That's the most interesting man in the world. Yes, the Dos Equis guy.
He's got a lot of kids.
You know what's interesting these days? Bitcoin. Look for Bitwise, my friends.
Look for Bitwise, my friends. And is the marketing blitz on? Who will be next? Who knows? And then we have this from Grayscale CEO Michael Sonnenschein, who was on, looks like CNBC Squawk Box. And listen to what he had to say.
Saw from, I mean, it was as low as 17,000 this year.
Sure. Well, you know, Joe, I'm not one to make price predictions, but I do think there is a lot of optimism again in the market. I think a lot of investors are adding Bitcoin to their portfolios. And when we look ahead to the hopeful approval for spot Bitcoin ETFs, it really is going to unlock the opportunity to a part of the investment community that, for better or worse, but I would say for worse, has unfortunately been locked out of the opportunity to participate in having Bitcoin exposure in their portfolios. So we're really talking about the advised market here in the US, which is today about $30 trillion worth of advised wealth that we hope the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs, the uplisting of GBTC, will allow for that opportunity and for those investors to partake in it as well.
$30 trillion of advised money. I like how he said that, advised money. People that have a financial advisor, those people combined, $30 trillion, a lot of money. And then also, this was kind of interesting. Micro Bitcoin wallet hit record holdings in the month of November. Sentiment, a market intelligence platform with on-chain and social metrics for more than 2,500 cryptocurrencies, shared on Twitter that Bitcoin wallets holding one or fewer Bitcoin now hold a record-breaking 1.4 million tokens, constituting 7.3% of the total supply. So, with the potential of an approval in December, with micro wallets, so your average person, your average American, your average, I don't know, Canadian, whatever you want to call it, they're starting to get FOMO. They're starting to come in, and those wallets are starting to grow. What are you guys' what are your thoughts? Robin, are we going to see a God candle in December?
Man,
Is speculation enough?
All I want for Christmas this year is the ETF approval. That's exactly 1 week away from today, and I still wouldn't hold my breath for it. But I do think that it's an interesting discussion that if it'll come before December, before the year's end, I still think it'll come in the later. I think it'll come in the back end of the first week of January. So I would say, let me take a peek at my calendar here. So you got January 10th is a Wednesday. So January 8th or the 6th would be my
I wouldn't come on the 6th.
the 5th. I think the 5th, because the last futures came out on the Friday before when they first approved the Bitcoin ETF, the futures. It came the weekend before, so we had a full weekend to kind of let that marinate. And I do think that, I still think it'll be the first week. So I would leave it at the 5th, 4th or 5th of January would be my estimate. But hey, let this thing come early, man. You know what? 25 days of Christmas, it'll be a beautiful thing.
Wow. Forrest, looking at I know you're a big numbers and metrics statistic guy, right? We're seeing the average investor, right? Wallets that hold less than one Bitcoin, that thing is at an all-time high, 1.4 million tokens, right? Plus the 10% of the total supply. Is the anticipation of potentially getting approval in December, is that enough to send Bitcoin to 48, 50K in your opinion? Maybe in one daily candle? Call it a God candle?
Yeah, I mean, we can go over the chart in a little bit, but yeah, I don't know about a single daily candle, right? I think that's that would be a daily a 30, 40, 50% candle for Bitcoin. I don't think in a daily candle, but I do think there's definitely room for Bitcoin to move up to 60K. I don't think that 60K, 65K is off the table here in December, January, February if we get that ETF approval, or it just continues to be priced in.
You mentioned a Bitcoin chart. Why don't we just dive right into the BTC chart? But while you pull that up for us, I do want to give a big shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you own a business and you want to maximize your networking, IT, and your cybersecurity, there is no better company to call or email or just go down there than Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Forrest, BTC, feel like you're being bearish, man. You're not saying we can't see a 30, 40% daily candle? Why so bearish?
Wait, I said 60 room to 60K. How's that bearish?
Fair enough. Sorry. I take it back.
I just don't think it'll get there in a single day is all. Like a single daily candle, even when Bitcoin ran from 18K up to like 42, it still took 27 days. I do think it could rip here, and we could see movement up towards the top of these red easy bands, which would be around 63 this is climbing, right? Because we're over our 21-week simple moving average right now. This is climbing, but I do think that there will be some level of resistance here. Between $60,000 and $70,000. That's where we saw so much distribution. Think about all of the people, right? All of the people that bought between 50 and 60K that are finally unstuck, right? They're finally break even, and a lot of them may look to sell and get out at break even. Now, some of them, may continue to hold or whatnot, but anytime you have that kind of on any chart, not just Bitcoin, and obviously the circumstances of Bitcoin are very bullish with a ETF and a halving. So I'm not saying that would necessarily be the best idea to sell at 50 to 60K, but just know that there's a lot of volume up here and a lot of distribution up here that does turn into resistance in that region. So we are climbing. I mean, we're just kind of climbing through this red easy band level, this first zone here, which is resistance. It is resistance. So I don't think that, maximum allocation to crypto right now is super wise. I think you can have mean reversions along the way, as we've had all along the way since the bottom here. And I think that's the next, that's where you want to bid aggressively. If we do get a pullback to that 21-week simple moving average, if we do see sub 38K Bitcoin again and come back and test between 32 and 38, I think that's a good level, a good zone to be a buyer at on any sort of pullback. Because I do think this trend will likely continue onwards and upwards all the way to that 50 to 60K region. We also have a big margin pressure level coming in at around $49,000 to $50,000, and you see yet again that's another big resistance zone. That was our kind of, I'm not going to say our dead cat bounce, but for lack of a better term, it was a 44% bounce. That was kind of our initial kind of denial rally. We ended up getting resistance between kind of 45 and 50, and I do think that'll be a pretty contended zone if we start moving up again. And that would also be in line with this top little, or this second to top little red easy band level, which could act as resistance. I do think upside is very likely here. But I also wouldn't be caught off guard if we see a pullback first, right, into that 21-week simple moving average before continuing upwards. And as always, I don't think being 100% confident in any one scenario is smart. I think you should be asking yourself the question, what happens or what could cause this scenario? What could cause a pullback all the way back down to 20K, 25K or so, black swan event type deal. Last bear market cycle, we saw this big bear market rally. We went all the way up to the red easy bands, or our high was at 19.7K. We went all the way back up to like 14. Right. And then from 14, we did bleed all the way back down, even before COVID, right? Even before the COVID crash, we bled down, right? 50, 60%. Right. So just because we are in this big rally and just because we have a lot of good news coming doesn't mean that the overall market can't shift. Now, I am bullish. I do think that, we trend higher over time. But as an investor, I think it's always smart to weigh the, weigh and prepare yourself and position yourself for either scenario. I think ignoring the idea that this can pull back and give you much better entries at some point is unwise. So
Forrest,
I know that's not necessarily super helpful talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I am genuinely open to both sides.
I'm going to push back on you. And I want to start it off by saying it is always important to never think nothing can happen. Never think something has a 0% probability, right? And we joke on the show, I say there's no chance, but of course there's always a chance. Anything can happen. But Forrest, when you showed that when Bitcoin rallied and then came back down even before COVID, we're going into a cycle where we're getting a spot ETF. We've never had that before. And so I feel like not only the anticipation, but the actual money flowing in potentially less than a month, I don't think we're going to ever see 25, 20K Bitcoin again. That's my personal opinion. Can something crazy happen? Sure. But look at the anticipation alone has driven us from $32,000 to $44,000. Imagine when you start hearing rumors, SEC is going to prove it on Friday. BlackRock is starting to, whatever news decides to come out and get leaked, starts to rally up, and then bam, approval, day of. What kind of candle are we going to see? That is my base case. And again, of course, anything can happen, but I know we say this time is different, but truly, this time is actually different. And it's not just narrative driven. It's actual physical, an ETF. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's like, well, what happens if the power grid in the United States goes down for a week? That sounds absurd and absolutely crazy. But in 2019, if you said in that 2019 Bitcoin rally where we were up at $14,000, if you sat and said, what if we get a global pandemic that shuts down the world for 3-4 weeks and even, in some places lasts for months at a time, people are out of school, that would have sounded absolutely absurd and insane. But if the power grid goes out, and that's just one example of something, a big natural disaster happens, a terrorist attack, and I knock on wood, I don't want any of these things to happen, but from time to time, these things do happen and they do affect the markets super negatively. So, I'm not going to sit and not invest and not be exposed to crypto because I'm afraid of a power outage or a blackout or the power grid going down or a terrorist attack or something like that. But I'm also going to make sure that I've got stable coins set aside to buy a 60, 70% crash. The people who had capital, liquid capital, and were not 100% exposed to the market when Bitcoin did crash due to COVID, which again, very unpredictable disaster that you would have sounded absolutely insane for saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to set aside a part of my portfolio to make sure, in case of a black swan event. Like, the very definition of a black swan event is that nobody sees it coming. And when people are completely blind to the idea or not wanting to accept the idea that things can go down, that's exactly when a black swan event can happen. So again, I am net bullish. I am net exposed to this market. I do think it's going up. What I'm saying is having 30-40% in stable coins at any given time to be a buyer in those extraneous, uncommon circumstances, I think is a good idea, especially because you can put your stable coins to work in this market. You can earn very, very high yields. You can get 7, 8, 9% on chain right now. You can farm airdrops. There's multi 6-figure airdrops that can be farmed right now with that I believe will be multi 6-figure airdrops. And there's airdrops, we got the Jaito airdrop was $200,000 for me. The margin airdrop that's coming up, the Jupiter airdrop, all these airdrops can be farmed with stable coins. So you actually have the benefit of having the ability to buy if a black swan event happens, but you're still getting extreme upside, even with that part of your portfolio that's not exposed to the market. That's kind of the argument that I'm trying to make. I know it's kind of a, maybe an unpopular opinion and kind of a drawn out tangent there, but I think being prepared for a black swan event at any point in the market is something that pays off.
That's just like having an emergency fund in your daily life, right? They say you want to have 6 months of your monthly bills saved up just in case something happens. You break an ankle, you break an arm, you got to be out of work to pay your bills. I'm not opposed to having the same thing in crypto. I think 30% is too much, especially when we're in the beginning of a bull market. But I have some money in stable coins right now. You just never know with crypto, whether it's a black swan event, whether it's some crazy FUD. I don't know. Elizabeth Warren's bill gets passed in the Senate and awaits the House, and Bitcoin goes down to 38K. Bam, scoop some up. Make 3, 4, 5, 10%. Rob, you want to jump in on this conversation? Anything you want to add? You've been awfully quiet there.
Have been quiet.
When you're quiet, I worry.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You worry about me?
You're not quiet.
You worry about me?
I don't worry about you. I worry about the show.
Do
you agree? You should at all times have some money aside in stable coins ready to deploy into the market, whether we're in a bull market, bear market.
I don't know if that's the strategy for everybody. I think most people watching, are plugged into the crypto ecosystem enough and know what is trending, and maybe I'm sure most of us here have enough experience to realize when something dips down low enough that it's a good buy. But I would, if you're not digesting crypto information and staying up to speed on a daily basis, I really would just stick to the DCA mentality. I say that to a lot of people, like when that I might run into that aren't in the crypto circles, and all of a sudden like, hey man, I got $20,000, man. What should I get? I'm like, whoa, slow down, bro. Just, you want to get Bitcoin, just create an account, start buying small.
I'll tell them to buy USDT.
Just buy a little bit at a time, man. Just, DCA, right? And so I think the DCA strategy for someone that isn't plugged into the market is probably a better move because they're not used to the swings in crypto, and they might buy what they think is a dip, but they might just be buying the first downturn to a big red candle on the weekly, right, or the monthly, and that's my way of looking at it. But I would say this: most of us here, we know value when we see it, right? When Bitcoin dips down to 28,000 or 32,000, like you were saying, some black swan event, we understand the value there. We know that hey, I can buy it now, and I don't really care. I can sit in the red for the next 8 months. Sure, I'm sure it's going to bounce back. These opportunities do present themselves throughout the year multiple times, and if you know the good value, you'll be able to pull the trigger. Now, that's only for us. That's our internal little dialogue. But I do want to give a little love to the chat. We got a couple super chats here today, and we've had a lot of new subscribers jump on to in the last weekend. So if you are new here, say hello. What we do is we drop an hola back at you. That's OLA, and then real quick, some of the new people we spotted out: Party Fam, El Chingon, and Cody's World 15.
El Chingon.
So to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also got Keenan Henson. He seems new, but he dropped a $5 super chat. He wants to know about WorldCoin. And
it's Kenan, not Keenan. If you would have read the whole super chat. Sorry, Kenan.
And then we also got Critcast dropping $5 super chat. He wants to reignite Chainlink and Matic conversation. But WorldCoin's interesting. I was looking at WorldCoin the other day. It never really dipped down, right? Just a quick insight on WorldCoin. I think it launched at around $1 some change. Then up until last week it was about $2, and now it crossed $4. So kind of interesting. We're looking at a token that never really went through a bear market because it wasn't launched in the bull market, so it never had the downturn. So I would proceed with caution because everything at this point now is price discovery, so we don't really know where it's going to settle in at. But
bearish on World Token.
Yeah, it's kind of a creepy token, man. But you know what? A lot of the tokens out there that I've been a little bit more hesitant on and been like, I don't know about this thing, and then next thing you know, everybody's making money but me.
Because you're scared money, that's why. Don't be scared, bro. It's okay. I'll hold your hand. Let's get into the markets. We have this. Trader predicts 2,200% rally for one under-the-radar altcoin, and that is VeChain. Analyst Ali Martinez on Twitter said VeChain. And Forrest, if you can pull up a VeChain chart, my friend, as I'm going through this, VeChain looks poised to break out of its immediate resistance at 3.3 cents. Says his analysis. Says VeChain, the forgotten Chinese Ethereum, appears to mirror the consolidation phase we saw in 2018 to 2020. If so, the VeChain token could break through the 3.3 cent resistance barrier within the next 2 weeks. And he sees it could potentially go to 7.7 cents by late January, which is a 150% price increase. Forrest, what are you seeing on the charts on VeChain? If we can take a look at that.
Yeah, I mean, not much to it, to be quite honest. Aside from when this thing runs, it runs hard. It's reminds me of a variety of other altcoins that just put in like absolutely insane bull markets, and then they pay the price for it in the bear market. But we are breaking out of or attempting to break out of a very long consolidation period. A lot of horizontal resistance here at about 3.2 cents, and we are actually on the 3-day chart looking to gear up to break through this again. You could even draw this as a little bit of a downtrend line and say we've kind of actually broken through it as we speak. But yeah, VeChain does look poised and ready to pump here. I mean, up to its next big resistance target around 8 or 9 cents. That's it's 180%. Absolutely agree. You do have with any altcoin, any market, you do have the constant risk of a mean reversion along the way, and what that looks like. And even sometimes you can overshoot. I mean, you saw VeChain go from like a tenth of a cent or 1.5 tenths of a cent all the way up to 2.2 cents up here in the last bear market, and then you do get that pullback, right? And that was only the beginning of things, but you do get that mean reversion, that market correction, that 60% pullback before the real bull market got started. So we are attempting to move into that initial phase of pushing up into this red easy band zone. VeChain could absolutely be a big runner here. I like to look at things that have performed well in the past because it is indicative that a lot of people were willing at one point to jump into VeChain. If they were willing at one point to jump into VeChain, they'll probably be willing again. You also have this nice bear market rounding bottom here. Again, I think if you're a VeChain buyer here, I personally would not want to be a leveraged buyer of this. I do my fair share of leverage trading and trading of derivatives. But the main reason being is because if this does catch resistance here, you do look, you do have some risk of this being kind of a longer term rounded bottom where you get down and find some support down there at a mean reversion level. And it could take, months. It could take until May of next year for us to really complete this. Or we could just jam through here in the short term and jam up to 7, 8, 9 cents outside of the red easy bands. But yeah, I think being a spot buyer and a DCAer here is probably most wise, and being a little bit more aggressive if we do get that mean reversion. So if we do get a scenario where maybe the Bitcoin ETF gets approved and it was priced in all along, and or we get a black swan event, something happens to bring markets back down to reality. I do think we're a little bit frothy right now. I do think VeChain's a really, really solid buy at around 2.2 cents. I don't know if you'll get that opportunity, but I think it should be on people's watch lists, right around this level, right around this support level of 2.2 cents. Because if that opportunity does manifest, I think it's a good one to pull the trigger on.
Yeah, and like you said, VeChain, kind of like Cardano, when they go, they go. And then just excuse me, quick peek at the markets here. And El Chingon said, thoughts on ICP? We just did an ICP video, my friend. You should go check it out after the live show. It was really good. Bitcoin, Ethereum. We talked about Bitcoin. ETH at 2172, XRP 60 cents. Wow. Hasn't really done anything. Solana, $72. Cardano, 57.8 cents. Now, the other one, it talked about Cardano going to 70 cents. We're not going to do a Cardano chart because I want to take a look at something else. Top gainer, Stacks is up 15.6%. Injective. Man, what an interesting project Injective is. Stay tuned because we might have something about Injective coming out pretty soon. Forrest, I had this tweet. This was back on December 6th, right? Stacks rallied, got rejected, and I said Stacks is going to rally again and look for it to get rejected around $1.31. What are some resistance levels you're looking at for Stacks? If maybe people got in sub $1 when it just recently dipped to under $1 and they want to maybe pull some profits off the table, what are some levels? And does this thing have more room to run?
Yeah, I believe I'm sharing my screen here once again.
Yep.
Yes, so you do have a ton of resistance here at around $1.31. You do have what could end up being a little cup and handle here if we do get rejected off of $1.31. I will pull up some margin pressure levels here. But this is something that, look, if Bitcoin is going to run to 50 or 60K, Stacks isn't going to stop at $1.31. I'll say that right now. Stacks is potentially, or I'm not going to say potentially, but Stacks is beta on Bitcoin, meaning if Bitcoin performs well, Stacks being a layer 2 for Bitcoin is probably, you're going to see Stacks outperform Bitcoin more than likely. Why? Because it's a lower market cap and it follows the same exact narrative. We do have potentially a kind of a longer term ascending triangle forming, and this would be that scenario where we do get a pullback, right? And you see a lot of charts do have potentially really solid entry points in the event of getting a pullback, and that doesn't make me lean more towards a mean reversion or towards a pullback, but you do have like if you go to the charts right now, and I'm not saying we're not going to, there's a chance that we just rip up, right? There's a chance that we break through this resistance and things just rip up. But you do have bearish divergence on the daily charts on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And I think ignoring bearish, those local top signals for too long can be dangerous. right? So this is another thing, like VeChain. Do I necessarily want to be a buyer of stacks moving up into this resistance? Not really, right? I think a derivatives trade, like a leveraged long trade, you could buy like on the actual breakout. Like if we start printing candles above, 138, 140, and it looks like it's going to rip up, sure, isolated leverage trade with a tight stop loss is probably fine. But where I'd like to pick up stacks is on a pullback, and this pullback may or may not happen. We may just continue to rip upwards, and yeah, it's we'll catch it. We'll look for another opportunity in the market. But if Bitcoin does pull back for whatever reason, and we do get a mean reversion, which are common in bull markets, everyone's going to freak out if Bitcoin pulls back 20% from its highs. You look at any bull market, 20, 25, even 30% corrections along the way are pretty normal. They're just mean reversions. So we see that for Bitcoin and we get a pullback for stacks down to 70, 80 cents. We're starting to form a really, really bullish pattern moving into 2024. And I do think that the bulk of this bull market is going to come post halving like it has in previous times. I know everyone's really excited right now. We're going into January. We're going into a Bitcoin ETF. But the halving, if I'm not mistaken, it's like March or April. I think it might be April now. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the halving's not even until April. And then oftentimes you don't even see the real bull market kick in until 4, 5, 6 months after the halving. Right. So these charts, a lot of these charts could potentially play out where the bulk of their gains, and if you feel like you've missed, right, if you're somebody who feels sidelined, like you've missed this, bull market rally, there's going to be a lot of altcoins and a lot of opportunities, probably extending past May, June, July, August, all the way into December this time next year. Right. I think we're in for a really, really solid year of opportunities in the crypto space. So don't discount, charts like this where we might get a pullback and a mean reversion, and then you might have to be patient and wait for 6 months to see a huge run and new all-time highs out of a lot of coins. Alternatively, yeah, we could rip here, but I don't necessarily want to be a spot buyer at these local highs. I want to be a little bit more cautious here.
All I heard for us is we're all going to be millionaires, and thank you so much for that. Robin, again, you've been awfully quiet. I'm starting to get a lot worried here. We talked about VeChain. We talked about stacks. If you had to pick one, what are you more bullish on? You're more bullish on the supply chain narrative and everything's VeChain is doing. They're kind of under the radar a little bit. Been around for a very long time. They're massive in Asia. Or are you all in on BTC layer 2? What are your thoughts?
But the chat here really loves to follow what I say.
They do.
They take my insight.
Oh, where are you
a little harder than yours, and so I don't want to say my answer before I give the chat an opportunity to pick their own, because I don't want to influence you.
Oh, wow.
So if you are a fan of VeChain, if you had to pick one of the two to marry here, are you a fan of VeChain? Put a 1 in the chat. If you are more on that stacks train and you want to see some smart contract layer 2s type of stuff, put a 2 in the chat. I want to know where the chat lines up. Also, real quick, since I'm speaking to you, the viewer here, why have you not hit the like button? Only 80 likes over 200 viewers. That means we got less than 50% like ratio. So I encourage you, I demand you to hit that like button. And let's get this thing going. Also, my thoughts here. Where am I going to go? You know what? I'm going to go VeChain. And the reason I might have more recent bias to VeChain, and why do I say that? I think it's because, well, if you watched UFC this weekend, well, UFC was brought to you by...
You are such a selfish person. You picked stacks. You picked VeChain because you want them to send you to UFC for free, don't you?
Perhaps. Yeah. I mean, you don't want a free ticket to UFC? Get out of here.
I do.
And so you got VeChain was one of the sponsors. They had one of these pillars here. It's not in this photo, but one of these like little pillar things also had VeChain written here at the on the middle of the octagon as well. So VeChain is one of the sponsors. They also got crypto.com as well over here in the background in case you missed that one. Now, outside of this advertisement, I feel like VeChain is something that we're seeing more of just as discussion. And so the charts are little low. I would say that Stacks has rallied more recently with the Bitcoin rally. We haven't seen the same returns on VeChain. Bitcoin is outperforming VeChain this year. And so I think there's a potential for a lot of upside. And I mean, just seeing it front and center in the octagon is something big here. UFC in Vegas, we in Vegas. I gotta support my
So you're
hometown
basing
hero.
your entire analysis on them
Yes.
sponsoring UFC.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Round of applause for Robin.
No, I
Rocco.
also said,
Round of
I
applause.
also said, David, that Stacks has rallied hard this year, and VeChain is lagging behind compared to Bitcoin. I think there's an opportunity for a massive rally, and I mean, we just looked at the charts there. I don't know, man. It sounds very, very intriguing to me. Also, for those of you that are new here, the Ola is what we is our slogan here. So what we do every once in a while is we get the community engaged. So drop an Ola in the chat. We call it the Ola wave here. And so let's see how many Olas we can get in the chat. And we got 200 viewers, so maybe we can get
Ola
over.
wave?
Yeah, Ola wave,
Thought it was
bro.
a train.
It is train wave, whatever, So let's see how many Olas we can get in the chat. If we can get half of y'all put Ola in the chat, we'll get 100 Olas. So
No
and
way.
yeah. Also, Jimmy dropped a $5 super chat. Talking about Metascoin.
Jimmy's bags are so fat right now, bro. Dude, AVAX, Ethereum. I know he's got Metis, and I'm saying this because he shared it.
$9.99 super chat from our normal Asus pumper there. And then we also got some new people. Northwest 11-7 Productions, 3 Doc, Suvesi, KCE, KC Boomer. Also, we got Rudy Lane, Crypto Stevo, and Obese Crypto. So to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
So guys, some important things happening in the alts. CoinMarketCal tells us that Kronos Chain is doing a token burn, and well, the token burn is going to be 50 million tokens, about 0.16% of their total supply. That will be burned also. Big news from Polygon. They are announcing a real-world asset announcement, and this is from when Sandeep tweeted this, the founder of Polygon, back in November 29th, and you can see here the date. December 20th, we changed the game for real-world assets and institutional adoption. Could it potentially be? Who knows? Forrest, just real quick. We did have a super chat earlier. Rob and I went back and forth, Chainlink or Polygon Matic in the next bull market. If you had to pick one, what is your pick?
Chainlink. Yeah, I think here's the thing. Like, yeah, Polygon's, they have great marketing, but at the end of the day, they're essentially a layer 2, or just they're just competing in a much more competitive space than Chainlink is. Obviously, Chainlink, there's competition in cross-chain interoperability and the Oracle network space, but they have such a big lead. Versus Polygon as a layer 2, and as launching some standalone blockchains. I just think that they're just competing in a sea of L1s and L2s that are all just kind of cannibalizing each other. And I'm not saying that Polygon's not good and that it's not going to perform well. I just like the competitive landscape and the competitive advantage that Chainlink enjoys more so than Polygon, and that's just that's the way I view it.
I agree with you, and I would recommend having exposure to both. But of course, we have fun with these. Pick one if you must. I do want to talk about this. I said in the beginning of the show, it seems like a lot of these layer ones are going through what we're calling a inscriptions stress test. We saw inscriptions on Avalanche just absolutely skyrocketed the network fees. We've seen inscriptions on Bitcoin skyrocket the fees and bog the network down. We saw inscriptions take down, what was the chain that just went on? Arbitrum, right? Arbitrum degraded performance. Validators out of sync. Well, Polygon, again from Sandeep, the co-founder, highest number of inscriptions on Polygon, 161 million, more than 2 times the amount of inscriptions on the second ranked chain. Fun part, What is a fake? A fake? As far as I
far
know.
as I know.
Oh, a fake. I felt very, world class when I said that. As far as I know, the gas fee still stayed under 10 cents. I heard horror stories that on some chains it went as high as $400. And here you go. Polygon, the stress test. Forrest, how much weight do you put into this? Is this a good? Because we're still not in the 100%, like the real bull market, right? Where like everyone's using it and DeFi's popping off and NFTs are minting and this and that. So are these great stress tests? And should we really pay more attention to which one of these chains are able to handle an influx of transactions, an influx of messages, an influx of inscriptions? Moving to look into the bull market.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion that 10 cents for a transaction fee is like way too expensive. I know that's not in the grand scheme of things that expensive. What's funny is like I've been on Polygon and I've paid Sandeep, like I don't like when he tweets stuff out that like this because it just seems so disingenuous because I was on Polygon doing transactions the other day and I paid transaction fees over $1. And like to sit and say that they only reached 10 cents, I think is like anecdotally firsthand experience. Like I paid I did multiple transactions that costed more than 50 cents. This is one of the reasons why even when Solana was considerably cheaper than what it is right now, why I've been such a big fan of Solana. And if you look at the Solana transaction fees, they've stayed stable. It's localized due to localized fee markets. Right? Like if you have an NFT market or an NFT mint or a inscriptions or something that's driving gas fees up or would normally take up a lot of bandwidth or a lot of transaction throughput on a blockchain, it stays localized to that one use case, right? So it doesn't necessarily bog down the network for everybody else like it does on all these other chains. Polygon gas fee spiked too. And I think even 50 cents to $1 for a transaction, even 10 cents for a transaction is too high when you really get to scale. And if you're playing a video game on Polygon network and you need to do, to enjoy your video game, you need to do 100 transactions in a day. Well, all of a sudden you've paid $10, right? To at 10 cents a transaction in a single day to play that video game. I think if you want real adoption, large scale adoption, you need ultra low gas fees. But I don't know. I'm not trying to bash Polygon. I'm not trying to bash these other blockchains. You guys know I'm a big fan of Solana. Solana could go down tomorrow. I mean, Solana's got its drawbacks. It's not without fault, but I just think the robustness of these blockchains is going to continue to improve. But right now, I don't think that a lot of chains have done a good job of keeping gas fees low.
That's a great perspective for us. We hear 10 cents and we're like, it's so cheap because we see Ethereum gas fees are so high. But at mass scale, which is what we all want, right? Let's onboard the next billion users. 10 cents is kind of high when you think about it. Jimmy said, you're only saying 10 cents is high because you just had a baby and diapers are expensive. But I don't know how you feel about it. This was a interesting article. Tether is going to onboard, or has already onboarded, the FBI and the Secret Service. Is Tether Fed in disguise? Well, let's get into the, what the hell is this? Get into the article. Is from the Daily Huddle. Tether's chief executive, Paulo Ardonio, says that the crypto firm is onboarding law enforcement agencies as a means of combating crime. He said, quote, Tether recently onboarded the United States Secret Service into our platform and is in the process of doing the same with the FBI. These strategic relationships reinforce our commitment to supporting law enforcement in combating nefarious activities and contributing to the recovery of victim funds. In the letter, Ardonio explains how Tether teamed up with the Office of Foreign Asset Control, also known as OFAC, to freeze wallets on the government's SDN list and blocked persons list. We are freezing wallets associated with the SDN list. Seems like Elizabeth Warren might have gotten to Paulo Ardonio Forrest, what are your thoughts on this in general? And is this a bad look from Tether?
No, I almost think like Tether's. This is gonna sound kind of crazy. Like I don't know if they have such a huge monopoly. I think that if you're a government agency, you probably want to play nice with them and actually, kind of, let Tether get big and then just try to control them from the inside. I know that's kind of, crazy, but Tether has such a huge monopoly. Like there's no other stable coin that can, because Tether is willing to operate in kind of like this legal gray area. They can stuff and stop any other stable coin in its tracks, right? So there's like a reason. If you go and look at the chart of market cap for Tether, it is skyrocketing while the USDC market cap is decreasing, and it's because they can just
$90
print Tether out of thin
billion.
air. It's 90 billion versus Circle to USDC, which is just decreasing.
Yeah.
And it's because they're just cannibalizing USDC. Like, let's say somebody, mints USDC, and USD Circle puts that into their treasuries or into US treasuries and backs that money. Tether can just go and print on like a fake loan or a quote unquote commercial paper. They can just go and print Tether, swap that USDT for USDC, and then redeem that USDC with Circle, right, for cold hard cash, and then put that cold hard cash in their own treasuries to earn 4 or 5% on the Tether that they just minted. And then the Tether that they just minted is fully backed, right? So they can, no matter how much demand Circle gets for USDC, Tether can just steal that money and that liquidity and put it in their own treasury. I am like, if I could buy stock in Tether, I would ape Tether. I don't like. I'm so bullish on Tether. I don't think that they can be. I think they're super shady, and they're a potential existential risk to the entire crypto ecosystem. But I don't see any stable coins gaining on Tether anytime soon, because they can just print as much as they want, swap it, and cannibalize any other stable coin, and have it fully backed, just because they have the largest market cap.
And this is their market
it's
cap,
crazy.
by the
I think
way.
Tether dominance is just going to continue to rise.
Yeah, this is Tether's market cap. And if you zoom out to the daily, right? Or zoom into the daily, zoom out to the monthly. I mean, this thing is just, like you mentioned, has been going absolutely parabolic since, what is this? A rise. So this was back in January of this year. Their dominance has gone up 42%. And you guys got to remember, too, whether you love or hate Tether, they announced that every quarter, some of their profits, they're going to take it and do what? Buy Bitcoin. So there you have essentially another large whale that's looking to buy Bitcoin. But for me, it's like, and I say this on the show all the time. I'm like, hey, crypto doesn't care who you are, this and that. Sure. Are some criminals going to be able to use it and offboard and onboard? Sure. Right. But you can say that about guns. Guns are legal. They're a Second Amendment right here in the United States. Majority of people who have guns are good people, including police officers, Secret Service, whatever. There are some bad people that use the guns to do bad things, but still, they're not going to ban guns. And I'm just like, at what point are you going to give up what the ethos of crypto, essentially decentralization, is, to what? Stop maybe 0.1% of the transactions that happen in crypto that is for illicit people or illicit finance. I don't know how I feel about that, but I would assume this would hurt Tether, but it's not. They keep going up, and like you mentioned, Circle keeps going down. I don't know. It's a tough one. You got any thoughts on that, Rob? Any narrative there?
Well, Tether is an instrument that is not decentralized. So when you say the ethos of crypto is for decentralization,
For the, use of their stablecoin, right?
No, well, here's the thing. It's a stablecoin. It's literally, you're using dollars, right? And so it would be the same as saying, hey, man, don't track the dollars I onboard to Coinbase. Like, that should be secret. Like, no. I mean, at the end of the day, you have a centralized token on a centralized currency that the government that issues it wants to know what's up, right? And so I don't think I don't think at all that stable coins should be decentralized, should be this crypto product that is 100% free. Like, no, it's a controlled product. It's we if anything want more control. We want to know, hey, is the dollars that you have in stable coins, are those backed by dollars? That's a point of control, a centralization. And Bitcoin and crypto and decentralized products don't have that. And so here, this is par for the course. It's a centralized product with an issuer that should have transparency, that is tokenizing an asset, and the country that has the underlying asset, so the country, the dollar, the country that issues the dollar, the United States, they want to know, hey, where's our dollars going? I think it's 100% reasonable. And you know what? Give the U.S. government the dollar stable coins as something that they can regulate, and then leave the rest of the crypto alone.
You got anything to add to that for us? I know you were kind of had a chart pulled up before we went to Robin there.
Oh yeah, that just was kind of illustrating the point here. Like USDC market cap has just been tanking, since January of 2023, and USDT Tether market cap has just been rallying super hard. So all that means is they're printing Tether, swapping it for USDC, just redeeming that USDC with Circle. So Circle has a real problem here. Circle is losing money because they earn interest on as a function of their market cap. But every time their market cap increases, they just get that liquidity stolen by Tether, and Tether earns that money in terms of interest on their treasuries, on their backing of USDT. I mean, I agree with everything that was said. I mean, it's centralized. USD, actually think it's fine that they can freeze stuff. If you want to use a decentralized stable coin, use DAI or UXD or any number of decentralized stable coins that are out there that can't be frozen. But I mean, that's one of the things, the risks that you take when you're using a centralized stable coin. Like, they could freeze it on you.
Problem is the liquidity is not there for those stable coins as it is for something like Tether.
Yep.
That's the biggest problem. But it is what it is. It's something that's out of our control. Would you like to have the it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? You want to know, hey, we want full transparency. We want to know what's backing your dollars, your stable coin. But also on that side too, you're going to get interventions like this, the FBI, the Secret Service being able to go in and freeze anyone's wallet. It is what it is. Airdrops are pretty hot, right? And here's one, right? TIA Celestia. So it's a couple tweets I want to share, and I want to get your thoughts for us because you're pretty active in this airdrops and farming and all that. Everyone's staking their Celestia tokens for the bajillions in airdrops they are getting, and it takes 21 days to unstake. What could go wrong? And then Duo9 said, is it me or Celestia about to crash hard in a year? 500 million tokens to hit the market after year one, plus 8% inflation on top. 3 times the supply increase, plus 50% of all tokens are early backers that will aim to sell. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Celestia? And do you have any advice for anyone looking to farm airdrops or kind of do those kind of things?
Yeah. So as a rule of thumb as an investor, I just don't lock up my money for any, even if it's 24 hours, if a 24-hour unlock, I just try to stay as liquid as possible. If I am going to stake something that has an unstaking period of 14 to 21 days or whatever, I make sure that it's an investment that I've already gotten my initial investment out of, so that I'm completely free rolling. So it's if it could go to zero, or it could see a 60% drawdown while I'm unstaking it and still locked up, and I would still be in profit, then that's fine. But as a general rule of thumb, I run the other direction when it comes to locking up my money. I just don't like not having access to capital. Go look at any altcoin chart or even the Bitcoin chart. The market in a series of 7 days can be down 50, 60%. And when you don't have access to your money or your coins to sell them for 21 days, that's a problem unless you truly intend to hold that coin or token for a very long period of time, or you've already gotten your initial investment out. As far as Celestia goes and Injective, those are the hot chains right now, are two very hot chains. I'm not an expert in either one of them. I firmly believe that if you specialize in a specific area, one chain or one niche in crypto, that's going to yield the highest returns. I don't think that you need to be buying stuff on Solana, buying stuff on Injective, buying stuff on Avalanche, buying stuff on Celestia, and getting pulled in all these different directions where you don't have focus. So for me, the way that works out is I'm just very focused on Solana. I think you can make a lot of money if you just focus on Injective, if you just focus on Celestia, if you just focus on one ecosystem or maybe two tops. I think that's very beneficial. As far as airdrops go, airdrops are usually a byproduct of just supporting protocols early and being a user of protocols early. So I got the Jito airdrop because I staked my Solana with Jito. I'm getting a Jupiter aggregator, or Jupe airdrop, because I use Jupiter for all my Solana-based trading on chain. So if you just kind of ingrain yourself or entrench yourself in one ecosystem, you will naturally get airdrops just by being an active member, community member of that ecosystem, whether that's Celestia, Injective, or another, Arbitrum or Opta, whatever ecosystem you decide to really focus in on, you'll get those airdrops just naturally over time. You don't necessarily have to allocate capital towards farming airdrops, so to speak. If you're just active on chain on a specific ecosystem, usually you'll get those airdrops over time.
And if people want to learn more about airdrops and how to get them and maybe some guides, where can they find this information?
Yeah, there's a number of guides on Twitter if you do some searching. Also put out airdrop guides in the research hub. The website is Sistine.ai. So I just run a research company where we do put out some research on various airdrop guides. We got the Arbitrum airdrop. A lot of people, we didn't put out a specific guide on the Jito airdrop or the Jupiter aggregator airdrop, but because we're so active in the Solana ecosystem, a lot of members got those airdrops or qualify for them. There's a guide for the Margin Fi airdrop, which I think is going to be huge personally. But yeah, we have step-by-step airdrop guides at Sistine.ai, among other things.
Yeah, and guys, I'm telling you, this is one of the best, if not the best, research hub and information for you if you want to make money. And I'll give you one example, right? So we were in Atlanta, and 3 days before this NFT minted, Forrest told us, hey, this thing's going to be pretty big. You should mint it. Well, guess what? We didn't listen to him. 3 Solana, and now it's sitting at 205. 205. And so if you want to learn how to make money through airdrops and farming, or just some other, what do you call it, Forrest? Asymmetric risk versus reward, right?
Yeah, just there's, in the crypto space at any given time, we search for asymmetric risk reward opportunities where, if we think that, there's, of course, with any investment, there's going to be risk. But if we're looking for things that the risk is far outweighed by the potential reward. This is a good example. I think we minted for 6.9 Solana.
6.9.
I ended up selling a lot of mine, a paper-handed mine around like 50, 60 Solana, but it was still a nice solid 10x on the ones that I minted. So I would just look for opportunities where there's decent risk reward, asymmetric risk reward to the upside. And there's always these opportunities coming down the pipeline in a bear market or a bull market. So we just try to find them and we push them out via email and talk about them in the Discord as well.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. And if you want access to that and you want to support Sin City Crypto, there is an affiliate link in there as well. Also, big shout out to some of the new people. I see Scott Summers, ICP, in here. I believe he retweeted our ICP video. Got a lot of traction from that. So thank you so much, my friend. Also, $2 super chat. ICP to the moon. The video I dug really in ICP. That thing is pretty impressive, man. pretty impressive what ICP is doing, what it can do. Everything he mentioned in there, we talked about in the video. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. Also, go subscribe to Sistine Research on YouTube. Forrest does do some TA live shows. Also, again, if you want the Research Hub, click the link in the description of this video. Also want to give another thank you to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. Visit bluewiretech.com to see how they can help your business scale and grow. And Robin.
Yes.
You're very quiet today for the 6th time.
Yes.
Anything you want to say before we go?
I've been pointing it out over and over again.
You're welcome.
I think we got the point.
Yeah.
You got the point.
So yeah, it was a good show. Feeling good, man. I like what we got. I like what we got going on here.
Me too.
Synergy.
Rocco, how you feeling, man? You feeling?
Feel great.
Rocco feels good.
Rocco's been quiet today too.
He's always quiet today.
Yeah.
Man, Forrest, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, go follow us on Twitter. Go follow Forrest on Twitter. And come back tomorrow for another live show. With that being said, Rocco. We hope you enjoyed the show today, guys. We got an amazing one tomorrow. Tomorrow is Rate My Portfolio. Make sure to submit on Twitter, DM, or email us. We'll pick one to rate. Till tomorrow, guys.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger turn